Welcome to the Let's Go Racing Family podcast, sharing our love for NASCAR, running, and just racing through life.
Hosted by Sebastian, Giovanni, Karen, Tony, and me, Johan.
Each week we'll talk about our view of the world through the lens of racing.
All right, Let's Go Racing Family. We're back. This is our first episode of the year, and it's really cool because we're normally we talk about NASCAR, but now
we started off the year with a different type of automotive racing.
Which finally, I still cannot believe we have only been to NASCAR races up until this point.
I mean, in the history of doing, I'm not just saying like in the history of when we did the podcast, we started in 2020. It took till 2026 to go to a non-NASCAR race, and I'm glad we went to the one we went to because it was an amazing one.
Yeah.
So where'd we go? You got to tell the audience where we went.
We went to the Rolex 24 at Daytona. I was just playing, but it was such a cool race. We went to the Rolex 24 finally. It's the season opener for the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Series. I have watched IMSA for a couple years now, and the Rolex was a race that I watched year after year. I didn't really follow IMSA's full schedule, but for like the last 8 to 10 years, I would probably say I had been watching the Rolex 24, and I had mentioned it. You guys all kind of knew about it, but it wasn't until recent years you guys started to be like, okay, let's check this out. And then I don't want to say it was the F1 movie, but I feel like when we saw the beginning of the F1 movie, which Sebastian made the reel about, it really kind of...
I think that's when your dad
That's when I got into it.
The Rolex 24 was, yeah.
Well, remember when we watched that movie for the first time? I said, okay, this is the movie magic. This is not true. There is no way that they're shooting fireworks off while the cars are out there.
And I remember I was sitting there, I think Sebastian or Dad asked me, I was sitting next to one of them, and they were like, there's no way that happens, right? And I was like, yes, they shoot fireworks. Every year at 10 o'clock, they shoot fireworks. It was funny because
Jeff Burton
the year, not this year, it was 2025. Yeah, last year. He was going to hit the button, but there was like a big red button over here, and when he went to go press it, the guy behind the camera was like, stop, no, it's that one. And like he was like, oh, okay, and he had to go press that one.
He would have launched the fireworks button all at once, so the whole track just lights.
Yeah, you know that video of like all the fireworks going off at the one time?
Yeah, the San Diego 4th of July.
Yeah, that one. That's what it probably
might have worked
like.
this year to clear the fog away.
So the thing that I thought was the most interesting about the movie and that I couldn't believe was the fact that the fireworks were falling on the cars while they were racing on the track. And like you said, you're like, no, this really happens. And when we go out and watch it, and apparently one of the mortars that they shot up didn't get up high enough, and there were like fireworks very close to the track. And I was actually surprised because when they were setting up across Lake Lloyd, we were watching it, and then you were like, oh, look, they're getting set up. And I saw trucks out there, and I don't know why I was like, there's no way those are the fireworks. I thought the fireworks are going to be shot in the field behind the track closer to the airport, but it literally shot up from right there.
Yeah, no, they're in the track. It's probably the same location they shoot the fireworks. Right, they shoot after the 500, right?
No, not at the 500, or sometimes, but it's mostly the 400 just because it's at night.
Yeah,
before. So it was cool.
It was really cool to see
that was one of the highlights for me.
It was really cool to see the cars driving as the fireworks were going on. I'm not going to lie. I don't know how as a driver you don't get distracted with pretty fireworks.
But I was looking at the onboards. I think it was Inception's onboard. It's one of the teams in GTD, I think. I was looking at the onboard, and they're coming off the banking on 2, and they get to the like flat part of the backstretch, and it's just the fog was there. There's smoke, and then you just see the fireworks going off, and it's crazy because how fast they're going, and like having to keep your eye on that when you got these big flashes of colorful light above you. It's crazy. It looks really cool though. I think that's kind of the magic I really liked about the Rolex growing up and even getting to see it in person. It was like, it's just such a unique race. Like it's on a track that's normally an oval, right? Like growing up, I knew it as like the track that only NASCAR raced at. And then when I discovered they had this 24-hour race, I was like, whoa, this just blew my mind. It's the coolest thing ever. So it's a really unique track. It's not your typical road course, and it's the whole spectacle of it is awesome. I mean, it's such a cool experience, and getting to go finally was just awesome.
It was definitely a really cool experience. Aside from the NASCAR Bristol race that we went to, our 48 hours of Bristol, that was like one of the coolest races that I've ever been to. This was a really neat experience too. I really enjoyed everything. And it's hard to believe that it was 24 hours. We literally spent 24 hours. We weren't at the race for 24 hours straight, but we were in Daytona for
It
24
practically
hours.
was.
Me and
And
Johan.
yeah, I'm like,
we were there, like, for
Gio and Johan, you guys
almost-
watched the
You
majority
saw
of
the
the
green
race.
flag, which
we
was
saw
about
the green
what time?
and the checkered flag. It
And
was
then-
it was 1:40 on
Even when we
Saturday.
get back to
in the
this-
afternoon.
Yeah.
Mom dropped you off, and then we went to go
Set up
take
our
care of the
camp. Set up our
tent, and
campsite.
we set up a campsite because we camped about 4 miles away.
It's actually pretty
Um,
close and really
It was
nice.
what was it called? Endless Summer Campground in
Mhm.
Daytona. It's like
It
4
did
miles
not
away.
feel like summer.
It-
that
no,
weekend.
well,
It was cold,
It was
man,
a
and
little
foggy.
chilly at night. Thank God it wasn't as cold as it's gonna be this weekend.
Oh my
that
gosh.
would this is gonna be cold. But anyway, so yeah, we went and did that. Mom had dropped you off. Then you guys saw the green flag, and then like you guys said, when we went all the way through, the only time we weren't on the track, we left the track at probably what 11.
It was like 11. It was 11:30. We left,
11:45 was when we walked
when
out
we
of
were
the-
walking out,
and we got
of
back
the
at what
tunnel.
like
and we were back at the track before 7. We
like
were
it
there
was like
We were-
6.
we got
6,
there at
7.
6 in the
Then we
morning.
got there.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
something around that
it
time.
was before 6.
Mhm.
Because we parked the car. It was a little after 5.
Yeah.
So we slept for maybe 4 hours in our campsite.
Yeah, I went to bed around like 1 because we got to the camp and I was watching the race on my phone, and at that point they were under the fog delay, hence my fog Tona joke. That was, and then I went to bed and I woke up at like 5 and my phone was still on and it was still under caution, so I only slept for like 4 hours a night, and we got back to the track around it was like 6 or like
Yeah,
7,
it
6 or
was
7
It
o'clock,
was 6. It was
and
6
we
in
got
the
back
morning.
and it was still foggy, and then the race was set to restart around like 9 is when they said, but then
yeah, the weather.
We
I
got
heard
there
that
at
they
7
made
and
an announcement that it was like they were planning 10. Like that's what they were thinking.
9 to 10, yeah.
And then all of a
and then
sudden,
it was like the sun rose and boom, the fog went
and
away
it's weird. The
instantly.
fog returned, but
The fog lifted, but then
It burned up.
came back down a bit.
I mean, it wasn't too bad. I mean,
Although I think the reason why they didn't throw the yellow there was because I was looking at all the onboards on the screens, and I was in the backstretch was when it looked really bad. But on the backstretch, you could see ahead of you, and I think it was more from the fan visibility, and also with the sun being out, there was more visibility than it being foggy in the darkness, and all you have is your front headlights, rear lights of the cars in front of you, and just pure darkness and fog around. That was, I think, part of the reason they threw the yellow. If it was just a day race completely, I don't think they would have thrown the fog. I think the fog wasn't the problem for the car's visibility.
Yeah, because once the sun came up and it was daytime, the drivers were able to see, even though the spectators or the fans, we still could see fog and couldn't see that backstretch, like you said. They were fine, which is good. I'm glad that they didn't yellow flag it and were able to continue running.
I will fully admit about the race. I was liking seeing the cars go around and then the different areas we saw the action, but I had no idea who was winning until literally the last 30 minutes of the race.
I mean, it was kind of funny. I mean, when me and Gio, we were still on the start, I feel like I don't know if you did, I felt like I kept a good track of at least the GTP category, and then just really had to, and the other classes really, because of the race being there, the race start helped a lot. Because you were able to see the cars. Like, I remember when the Porsche Penske's were battling, it was the 6 and the 7. No pun intended. It was, I think, Nassar and Estre, and they were battling, and I was like, where are they? And you could see them. It was funny. Although it was a little tricky with how far, like, in the back, because there were a few red cars. You would say, like, is that the Acura? Is that the Cadillac? Or is it the Porsche? And there was at times, but actually, surprisingly for myself, kept a good track.
I'm not gonna lie, I was actually looking up at the pylon like every 5 seconds, just like I was like, who's leading still? And it was the 7. You know, actually, it was a crazy thing about leading. I found out, I think it was today, Porsche led 74% of the laps. There were 701 laps ran. They led, I think it was like 534 of them.
You counting the safety car that was just going around the track for 5 hours?
Excluding the Porsche Manti safety car, the actual 963s in the hypercar class led 74% of the race. They dominated. And like it was no comp.
What I think it's amazing. So I was like Seabass. Like I was there, I was taking it all in. I think one of the cooler things that I've learned about IMSA and these endurance races is how you have different classes of cars all racing on the track at the same time. It's like having a race and you have every age group all racing all on the same track. And so you'll have some that are running past others, and it seems like they're getting past, but the ones that are getting past may be leading in their own class. It's the only thing I've ever seen where you have all these different cars racing and there's constant action throughout all of it. And so I was like you, I'm not as familiar. So then I'm like, who's winning? And then you help me. Like, you were like, oh, it's this car and this car. The red fin or the black fin were up there, 1 and 2. And they were relatively close. And what amazes me about this whole race, and anytime there's a long race, especially 24 hours, the cars, it wasn't like he lapped the car. Like, there was a part with how many laps to go or how many minutes to go? Like,
Probably
within
like
10 minutes.
Are you talking about
The
That
final
last part where they almost got into
the
it?
final hour of the race. It
Was even closer.
it was
like
like
30
20.
minutes.
It was the last 20 minutes. I think Jack Aiken in the Cadillac. You talking when he like went under?
Yeah, you were like, oh my goodness. And then we all looked up and they
Yeah.
almost got into it. And then that first
Oh my
turn.
word! That last
I
fight
mean,
was incredible.
The last
And-
fights, because I mean, it wasn't just GTP.
Oh, yeah, the GTD
GTD
fight with the Aston Martin and the Mercedes.
I mean, the Mercedes
was crazy.
sideways, and he was able to break it going into turn
That
one.
one was insane. I've never seen a car get that sideways in the
I
tri-oval.
thought he was gonna
Keep
wreck.
it straight. And then the craziest thing is the Mercedes won. I forget which team it was,
And
but
that's
they ended
the
up
thing.
winning. I
Like,
think
it
Winfrey.
was literally 24 hours of racing, and it came down to those last few minutes of the race where all this action was happening. And that's why it's actually a pretty cool experience to see that kind of racing.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think the really interesting thing is to see the 4 different classes of cars all driving together. Because you have I believe you said, right, the LMP2s are faster than the GTP Pro and GT.
No, GTD.
GTD.
and GT
Sorry,
Pro.
GTP is the first one. Top
Yeah.
one is GTP, then
LMP2.
LMP2,
Yeah.
then GTD Pro, and then GTD. So the top ones, they
I
go
don't
faster
understand a
than
word
the
you
other
just
ones.
said.
And so it's really interesting to see how you see an LMP2 coming through super fast, and you're like, oh my gosh, he's gonna run over that GTD Pro, and they don't run each other over.
I mean,
I think that's a really
Well,
cool
they're not
thing.
supposed to, but they were getting
mean,
pretty
they were-
close.
Honestly,
But the fact
this
that you have cars that literally are faster than other tracks on the
it's
on the
interesting. It's a
track,
different.
they
con-
don't run each other over.
Like when we were watching Lake Lloyd, the 2 different times, the fireworks, and there was, I thought, a time before
We were
that.
it was like a.
Like
it
an
was
hour.
no, there was 3 hours before the fireworks. It was
We
like
went and
7
checked it out, and we were watching the cars go around,
Yeah,
and
the
they're
speed.
kind of far. So unless you have binoculars, you can't really. You can see the cars, but
Actually,
you're not like, wait.
There were a couple people with binoculars. I was like, if we could do this again, we got
No,
to
we
bring
need
them.
to get
smart. I mean, the
binoculars.
guy sitting next to us.
But
at
there
the
was a
race
car
car,
that cars would come down, and you could tell the different class because of how quick they would pass, or how. And you said they weren't braking; they were braking about the same.
I think it's about the same breaking point. In all
but then
honesty.
they were just speeding off out of the turn.
But it's
so much
some of them
quicker.
have
A
some
lot
cars
better
like the GTPs
acceleration.
and the LMP2s have more downforce than the GTDs.
Also,
So
the
they're
weight-
able to
can
come
hold-
in. They're able to
They-
come
they
in
can
hotter,
corner
right?
Also, the weight
and
difference
stop
is huge.
shorter. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's like 5, 6, 700 pounds lighter the LMP2s and the GTPs than the GTD.
It's crazy
Pros and
seeing the
GTs.
sizes.
So the LMP. So hold on. So the LMP2s and the GTPs are lighter.
Yeah,
they're
like,
lighter. They're
way
way louder,
They've
lighter than the GTDs.
Although the LMP2.
So
was
hold
the
on.
lightest.
For the novice fans like me, what is Rexy and what's the purple dragon?
So
what kind
I
of
can
cars are
can I give a
those?
rundown of all the
Yes.
classes? So in IMSA, there's
Start from the top.
There's 4 classes in IMSA. GTP, which is Grand Touring Prototypes. These are the manufacturer-based prototype cars. The reason they're called prototypes is because they kind of push the limits of what a race car is. Unlike the GTDs, which I'll get into later, or GT3 cars, what they're actually classified as, those are based off of road cars.
So wait, the
Prototypes.
GTP is the top.
GTP is the top, and they're
Fastest ones.
prototype cars. They're prototypes that are made by manufacturers. It had Porsche, Acura, BMW, Cadillac, and Aston Martin are the 5 currently in IMSA. Next year, we're going to see Genesis, I don't know how you pronounce it, Ford, and in the future, McLaren joining. So we're going to get a huge class. of GTP
Of
cars.
GTP.
GTPs.
Okay.
Those are the top class, the fastest. They can reach speeds of about 210 miles an hour. Going into turn 1 in the tri-oval, they reach about like 210 when you're diving into turn 1. It's crazy. Then below,
But that class though has different looking cars.
yes, the
Right? Because you have
GTPs
some that look like the LMP2s and some that look like the GTD Pros.
Yeah. So that depends on the manufacturer, right? So like Porsche they have like headlights that kind of look more like their, like if you ever seen their Taycons, the electric one, the electric like excuse me, sorry, like the 911 electric car, what I call it, the Taycan, the headlights look almost the same. You can see the design language on some of the cars. The BMW has their iconic open nose grille on it. The grille's got smaller this year, but it's still pretty visible. The Aston Martin
Is very
It's
inspired off the
just-
Valkyrie.
It is the Valkyrie. The Aston Martin is the Valkyrie, which is a track-focused
racing
hypercar they made.
features.
The Cadillac has a lot of accent lines from the Cadillac CT5V and a couple of their other cars, and it just kind of like those cars, the GTP cars, are able to have more looks based off of the manufacturer. They can have more design language based off of what the actual manufacturer is. So next is the LMP2 class. That stands for Le Mans Prototype 2. This is another type of prototype car. However, in IMSA, it is all currently the exact same car. In fact, actually, a lot of the LMP2 series, like Asian Le Mans, European Le Mans, the World Endurance Championship just for the 24 Hours of Le Mans, really only use the Oreca LMP04, I think. I'll have to double check on that, but it's the Oreca LMP2 car. It's the same chassis, it's the same engine, same everything. LMP2 has basically become a spec series, and that is the last prototype car in IMSA. It's slightly slower than the GTPs. It's like about 3 to 4 seconds slower, but they're still really fast. They can corner a lot quicker. In fact, in low speed corners at some tracks, they're actually faster than the GTPs.
So
So that's
is
the
that
car.
Rexy and
No,
what's
so
No,
that's
Spike,
Spike.
AO's
So that's the
LMP2.
car. That's kind of like that funky long car with a fin, and they all in that class look exactly the same. So that's what
Spike
was.
and Spike
Or
Although,
is-
yeah, because Spike just came off of winning the championship last season, so they want
The
to do like a
season
gold.
championship.
Yeah, the season championship. So that's why he was in his normal purple, and that he's running this as they were calling it the gold scale look.
Which is really funny because the last two races, we go back to Petit Le Mans, Spike and Rexy were both skeletons, so Spike hasn't been purple in 2 races technically.
So okay, so that's the
That's the
what is
second
this one? So you had
L-
GTP,
GTP and
LMP2.
LMP2.
LMP2,
M.
LMP2.
LMP2.
Yeah.
And then what's the third one?
The third one and the fourth one, I'm actually going to do them together because it's the exact same car. It's GTD Pro and GTD. Now, the reason I say these two are the same classes or similar classes because they are the exact same cars. So a Mustang in GTD Pro is going to be the exact same Mustang in GTD. The only major difference is the classification of drivers that are in those cars. So GTD cars, which are actually originally called GT3 cars, are Grand Touring cars, which are race cars that are based off of production models. So like the brand new S650 Mustang, the Corvette C8, the BMW M4s, Porsche 911
So
GT3s.
these are similar. If you think about what NASCAR is supposed to be, National Association of Stock Car Racing, if this would be the closest to a NASCAR because it's an actual production model that they obviously soup it up for the racing, but
In a
that would be the
way,
equivalent.
Yeah, in a way, it is that.
Right, it's very similar to the
It's supposed to
street
be. It follows the whole rule of
car.
win on Sunday, sell on Monday.
Yeah.
That was a big
That's
thing back in like
NASCAR,
the 80s
yep.
and 90s with
Mhm.
sports car racing in general. NASCAR specifically mentioned that a lot because like
And what did you call these kind of cars?
these are GT3s or in IMSA they're classified as GTDs.
No. But you said they were a type of
Grand
car.
Touring.
Grand Touring. And isn't that the type of series that your buddy from New Zealand?
SVG. No, he raced in supercars,
He's New Zealand,
which is
right?
different. Yeah, he's from New Zealand. SVG raced in the supercar series,
But
which
that's closer to a stock car.
supercar I would say is more like a bridge. But if you took a NASCAR and a GT3 or GTD in this case, and you merge them together, you're gonna get the supercar. It's dedicated for road racing, but they're heavier. They're a little bit more harder to drive.
Okay.
Unlike the GT3s, which are designed for road racing. Like the NASCARs aren't, but they can road race. It's kind of like that. Like the supercars are more challenging,
Okay.
but they're road cars.
And so Rexy, the green car,
the green Porsche,
the green
T-Rex,
Porsche, he is a GTD Pro.
he's in GTD Pro.
And you said that because those cars are pretty much the same, you could be in the lower class one
And
pass and be faster.
that
than the
actually
pro.
happens a lot. I think back to last year in Detroit, because they have a street course in Detroit. Awesome track. I think it's super underrated. They had GTDs and GTD Pros there, I believe. I don't remember if it was Detroit, but there was one race where the GTDs actually out-qualified the GTD Pros with drivers that, again, supposed to be less experienced and lower ranked than GTD Pro drivers, and they're competing with them. So even though they're competing and they're getting physical with one another on track, if a GTD finishes ahead of all the other GTDs and GTD Pros, they're going to win only in GTD. They won't win GTD Pro as well, because GTD Pro is going to have
They
it.
can say they were faster.
But yeah, they can say they won out of all the GTDs. It's kind of like
And again, going back to Le Mans.
Le Mans.
Yeah. How do I say it?
Le Mans.
It's the case.
Le Mans.
Going back to Le Mans. What was the NASCAR one? What
NASCAR was
closest to?
it was closest to the GT3s, or when IMSA they're called
I mean,
GTDs.
they're only off the LMP2 by I think 2
Okay.
seconds.
That was a thing though. The NASCAR.
Well,
was
that was unexpected. That's
Yeah.
the thing.
I mean, they even had a whole
They
white
classified
flag.
it a lot lower
Well,
than
NASCAR's on the track.
what it really ended up running.
And then they didn't want them embarrassing people. So
yeah.
moved
So
them.
the manufacturers were like, nope, put them with the prototypes. We don't want it here because it's gonna.
'Cause it made
It
'em
looks
look
bad if a NASCAR stock car is flying past a Ferrari.
That's
So-
such a good
I mean, it'd be
story.
cool if
Hilarious.
Garage 56 and IMSA made a deal where they came to their 24 hours of Daytona. That would be cool.
Well, let me
hope that we
just
can see it
say-
again.
My interest in this long endurance racing, I'd never been into that because I love racing. I love cars. I never had any interest in any long distance endurance racing until the whole thing that you guys made me aware of with the Le Mans, when NASCAR went over and did what they did and actually surprised a lot of people. Then I was like, oh, this is interesting. And then I know that Le Mans is part of WEC, which is a different international
It's
endurance racing.
the World Endurance Championship, which is kind of just IMSA but global.
But global. And then IMSA is more North America. Either way, I never would have been in. I was never interested until that, and then the story and all of that. And there's actually a whole, what was that on ESPN or
No, it was I think a
Netflix
Prime documentary
or
or something.
Prime.
I
Yeah,
watched.
Prime
It was called
Video.
like
Prime Video?
American
did it.
Thunder NASCAR to Le Mans.
That-
It was really good.
Look, no one's sponsoring us. I will say though, if you watch this and you've gotten this far in our podcast, it is worth you checking that out, because the story behind how NASCAR brought you would think, oh, it's NASCAR. It's so easy. It wasn't, because endurance racing is a completely different sport than racing in the regular stock car in the sprint. And that's why I was trying to explain all this to somebody. Endurance racing and IMSA doesn't necessarily compete with like F1 and Indy and NASCAR. It's different. It is completely different. That's why there's so much crossover. And it's like thinking about, again, going back to my analogy of like an Olympic runner. Usain Bolt, the fastest man alive, is just built differently than somebody that runs a 10K or the marathon race, right? They're just physically different, and it's the same way with these endurance races, because these engine parts have to last and have so much more intensity and have to go so much longer. So anyway, I will say that what's that special called again? Prime,
The American Thunder.
American Thunder. It's fascinating. So good. And then obviously seeing the F1 movie this past year, I was like, this is kind of cool. And I know you kept talking about it, and then we're like, we'll finally pull the trigger, and we did. And then the other thing that I will say, I just wanted to say this too, that was a surprise to me. And again, I didn't put it all together. Back in, when did we go to Indianapolis, you and I?
September of last year.
So September, Giovanni and I flew up to Purdue. There's an episode talking about his college entrance journey. And we flew up to Purdue, up in Indianapolis, to go tour the campus. And one of the first things we saw was Rexy, the green.
Yeah, it was really
Porsche.
cool. We got out of the airport.
And you were like, over the moon. You were so excited. And I thought, oh, it was just a paint scheme, maybe a one-time paint scheme. And I'd not realize until this past weekend that car still raced on the track like that. And the other thing that I realized is with this endurance racing, it's not just one driver. It's a team of drivers. And so the character and who you might be pulling for is the car. And
with some of them, in the case of Rexy, it's
Rexy
like
and
people.
What was the other? Spike. It's like you rally around it, and then you guys got your little. Where's your Rexy?
Oh, I didn't bring him out, but I got a.
He got a Rexy too.
Yeah,
and then Mom, you've got a sweater of
you got
Rexy
the
and
sweater.
Spike.
Like I think that's so brilliant and it's so cool, and it's like I could see where they were, and then even Rexy, you guys taught me about the design. He has a gold tooth because it represents a win, and every win he gets another tooth.
So actually, currently he has one gold tooth this season, and it has diamond encrusted 24 on it to represent when he won the championship in 2024. And then when he wins another race, each of his teeth become gold. It's super cool. And then the funny thing was, so last year, and it happened again this year, during the race, Rexy's front bumper, where his teeth are, got ripped off by another GTD car. And it happened again this year. So last year, for the Sebring 12, the next race on their schedule, they changed the paint scheme to give Rexy all these crooked teeth with like dentures. It was so funny. And he had like braces on.
And
so I wonder if they're going to do it again.
You find yourself like really rooting for this team, almost like another professional sport where it's like, you know, the Eagles or the Bears or you know, Chicago Bulls. Like those are teams that you kind of rally around. And the players may change, but it's like, I don't know. It's just different.
I felt the same way. Yeah, because I'm like, there were drivers that I knew, and then there were drivers that I didn't know, right? But I knew the car that was out on the track all the time. Like my friend, the blue Aston Martin, that was the loudest car on the track. Like
she would not
every
stop
time
saying,
that he came by, I'm like, there comes Blue. And then like also the two Mustangs, I could spot them like really quickly. And then there was, I believe, I think it was a Porsche that had the skull and bones.
It was a Mercedes.
It was the 96 Mercedes. Okay. That one always stood out. And then also the other one that stood out it was a yellow car. And I think it says Turner.
Oh, yeah.
The Turner BMW.
Yes. That one stood out to me because it reminded me of Cruz Ramirez from Cars 3. And then I screeched the other days because when I saw the reel that you guys were watching, the reel that you just did with the fireworks, that car is in the F1 movie. Yeah. You could see the yellow Turner going by. I was like, what? Oh my gosh, that was the one that I was on the track. So yeah, so I was following the cars and like the color scheme, the paint schemes or the liveries. Liveries. I was following the liveries, so I was following the car. I didn't know who was in the car at the moment. I would always ask Gio. I'm like, okay, so who's driving, this one right now? But it was literally the cars that I was following on the track.
Can I ask you this? Does Rexy or Spike ever raced in WEC?
Yeah, actually, they do. The thing I didn't get to say, Rexy, the IMSA and WEC, like, you know how like other series like Indy and F1 like compete with one another? IMSA and WEC, even though they're both sports car racing series and they share teams and cars and like the types of stuff racing they do, it's like a brother-sister series. They actually have an agreement with one another that like both, basically the whole reason we have the GTP / hypercar and WEC, it's called hypercar, but it's the same class as here. It's so those two series can have the exact same cars. The GT3s can race between the two. Rexy actually, I think, started in WEC originally. Because AO Racing started in WEC. They were just, and it's crazy how new they are too. They were formed in 2022, and they had just like a regular red and white livery. And then 2023 came around, and they turned it into this, let's do a dinosaur theme, and became Rexy. Now they're probably one of the most, if not the most popular team in
they had a lot
sports car racing.
Their merchandise trailer had really long lines.
They were really
I saw from adults all the way to tiny little kids walking around with hats, shirts, the little plushes. So they're
I
pretty
mean, the
popular.
thing with AR, they're definitely favorites because I think they're the only teams that had a truck because all the other teams had like little like tents, but they were like small tents. Like Vassar Sullivan had a small tent. Well, Meyer Shank Racing had a small
Yeah, but
tent.
they had a truck.
A
You guys
Corvette.
went up on
They had
the
a
Yeah.
trailer. Yeah, AO had their stuff kitted out. Yeah. So anyway, to go back to your question, yes, you can. Rexy and Spike have both competed in.
Have they
WEC.
won in those series?
I think Rexy might have won one race. I can't remember. I
think
can't.
he
I
did
don't
win
want
one.
to
I
give
think
you
it
a
was super
confirmed answer.
cool, and I now like I didn't. I mean, I knew about Rexy because we had saw the Rexy at the airport, and then we saw them on the. Well, actually, I didn't realize they were on the track because, of course, my family wanted to go to the merchandise trailers before we actually saw cars running. So we went straight there. You and I went. I think that's what we stopped for first. Then we went and saw the cars, and then I saw Rexy. I was like, wait, oh, the car is actually out there. Anyway, super cool. I think that's one of the other things that makes this series a little bit more special and just different. And again, I love NASCAR. I love other racing. I love getting behind a driver. So like, I would love to learn more about these drivers because that's the other thing. Like you were saying earlier, Sebastian, we watch the cars. It is a spectacle to see it, right? And we were able to go into different places to watch it.
Dude,
Like,
Johan
we were
and I
up in the
sat in like
grandstands.
7 different spots
Yes,
the entire
that
weekend.
was
Original
another
spot,
cool
moved
thing.
down,
being able
moved
to
to the
being
front
able to
stretch.
move around
Yeah.
and see the access that we have as fans to be able to sit in different places to watch the race from different places was such a neat
That
experience.
was cool.
I think the way I could describe it and what made this so cool, aside from the fact that we got all those for just general admission tickets and I still have my wristband, it was normally you say, oh, a track's hot, right? Like the racing's going on. I could almost say the track was alive. It was lively. There were people moving to the grandstands, from the grandstands. They're going into the infield, leaving the infield. It's alive. There's movement everywhere. Everyone's going to
It's
different
felt like
spots.
a
There's
festival
a
of
Ferris
racing.
wheel.
There was
running
literally a
throughout the
Ferris
whole
wheel
It
day.
felt like a
there.
festival of racing. Just all
It
these
did.
series coming together.
That's actually
I
a
mean,
good way to
That's
say
a good
you
yeah.
had other fans. Like I bought an F1 hat at the race. And either fans, F1 fans, NASCAR fans, IndyCar fans, IMSA
Yeah, because I asked
fans.
you guys because I don't have any. I mean, now I have my little
Yeah, you got your
Corvette
Rolex
on my
stuff.
hat. But I didn't have anything when we went to the race. And naturally, we go to the race, and I grab my NASCAR stuff, and I'm like, "Is this okay?" And you're like, "Yeah, you're gonna see
There's
NASCAR fans."
drivers from everywhere.
And you
I
guys
mean,
reminded me, my great drivers, Dale and Dale Senior,
they raced in this
Junior and
race
Senior,
together.
both raced in that. Actually, unfortunately, the year that we lost Dale Senior, he raced with his son that year.
Yeah,
in
for Chevy
2001.
and the Corvettes. In fact, actually, both the cars the Chevy had ran that won 1 and 2 in their class were actually there, and they had like a Chevy thing in the infield behind the pit road.
They were like
garage
near the
area.
Hollywood Hotel. in
Yeah.
that area.
But that's the thing. Like you said, it's a festival of racing. Like everybody came. Nobody was like, "Oh, you're NASCAR. Oh, you're F1." It didn't matter. Like you liked motorsports, you liked racing, and you were seeing endurance, and there were NASCAR drivers on the track who was racing this year.
Connor Zilisch.
Connor
won.
Zilich and
AJ
AJ
Allmendinger.
Allmendinger was another one.
And what series? What series of the 4? Where were they?
They were actually both in GTP. That was it. And then
So that's GTP Pro.
just
GTP.
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 Oh,
is the
I'm
pro.
sorry.
GTP is the number, the
GTP is
top
the
one.
number
No, you're good.
one,
Top
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
the highest.
Top one.
They're
Where
racing.
did they place?
Zilich
Was
was
actually
running in the
second.
31. Him and his
His
team
team
finished
finished
second.
second.
Their story
Wow.
is crazy, by the way. They win the pole on Thursday. They get it revoked on Friday because the car was too low and broke the rules. They start from dead last in the GTP class.
have to
Have to serve
drive-through.
a drive-through penalty. Then they get another penalty. You have to go sit in the penalty box
They get
for
thrown
like a
off the
whole
track
minute.
by the
They
Ferrari.
go 2 laps down. They get thrown off the track by the Ferrari as they're trying to recover all their laps. They get both their lap backs.
And
Then
the fog
later
came perfect.
fog comes in, right? Starting to get their stuff together. After the fog comes in, 7 o'clock, race restarts. They're doing good. They get a penalty, have to go sit in the penalty box, lose another lap. They're 1 lap down. They get all the lap back. They race all the way down. Jack Aitken jumps into the car in the final couple hours, hunts down Felipe Nassar and almost gets him in one of the craziest moves I've ever seen. Had he stuck that would have been unbelievable.
I don't even know. I
And
don't
I mean,
even know if
just
he
the
could have
hunt
stuck
was
that.
awesome.
We thought that was going to
If
be
he
a
stuck
wreck.
wait,
that, I
he
think he would've
finished
took them both
second.
out.
He finished second. After all that, the 31
Yeah,
Cadillac
But was
finished
that
second.
the car that almost? That's
Yeah,
what,
yeah, the one that
The
Zilich
ones
wasn't
when they
driving
were
at the
going
moment.
into that first turn from the
Wow.
front
turn one where he
stretch,
cut down
they
onto the
cut
apron.
down in
That-
front of him.
That
mean,
was the 31
Wheeling
cars.
Cadillac.
And
Zillage
so
was
who
in.
else drove O'Connor Zillage for NASCAR?
No one. Nobody else was in his car. AJ Allmendinger was in, I believe, the
Oh, I
60
thought they were
Cadillac or
together.
Acura.
No, they were in different cars.
And where
Almond-
did he place?
He finished like 6th. I don't remember the Acura.
And how many
The
in
60
that
Acura was
series?
kind of slow.
in
Or
GTP?
that-
That's what I was gonna say. There's different.
that class?
There's different.
There's
amount
there,
of
yeah, there's different cars in the
each
class.
of
I
the
think
classes.
GTD was the most populated class this time. There was 11. There was the 2 Porsche
Okay.
963s from Porsche Penske, who ended up winning with Felipe Nasser.
and they
behind
finished
the wheel.
1-3.
Yep. Actually, I don't know if you guys know this, but this is Nasser's 3rd year in a row winning. The 7 has won,
In
24, 25,
26.
now
So
26.
he's been the driver for
the 7. He has not
Oh,
moved.
okay.
I
It's
mean-
crazy. There have been 8 different drivers for the last 3 years to win in the 7. Nassar being the only one to stick out with each of them. Actually, in 2024,
Pretty cool.
Joseph Newgarden won with Nassar.
I remember that.
And then last year, he had 2 different teammates. This year, he had 2 different teammates. Every year, he's had a different set of teammates, and he still manages to come out on top.
And
It's
that's why we have
unbelievable.
Team Penske flag, because that's the team.
And then Nassar's story is actually crazy. I don't know if you know this, but he raced in F1 a long time ago in the early 2010s. Raced for Sauber. Unfortunately, didn't have the cash to keep going in the series. Lost out, and he would have been probably a really good driver.
I mean,
Find
was
sports
actually-
car racing and revitalize his career. He's a 3-time IMSA champion. He's won the Rolex 24 4 times now. He's won the Sebring 12 2 or 3 times. It's unbelievable what he's doing, and
I mean,
his story is just awesome. I
there's-
love Felipe Nasser, and I love the fact that he races for Porsche. I was really happy to see him win. It's really cool for me to go from watching him win in my bedroom to winning in person.
So I think. Wait, I'm sorry. Can you say that part again? What?
I watched him win the Rolex in my bedroom last year, and this year
From
I
your
watched
bedroom.
or from my bedroom.
Okay, this almost became a
And-
PG-13 because I
That
thought
is
you said
not what I
he
said.
was winning in the bedroom and then he was winning on the track, and I'm like, wait, what?
No. I watched him
Whoa.
win in my
That's what
bedroom.
you were saying.
I
You
watched
were
him win in my
watching
bedroom,
because
and
you have
then I
a
watched him
TV
win
in your
in
room,
person.
and you were watching it in your room.
Oh Lord, I'm being
Okay.
taken out of context.
This is gonna be bad. We may have to censor
Yeah, I
this
mean,
episode.
yeah, because what he was saying, it's crazy. Because I remember 2 years ago, or back in 24, I was in his room with him watching Felipe Nasser win. And funny thing was, I remember it was literally like that. It was the 7 Porsche getting chased down by the Wheeling Cadillac 31. I think you remember that. And then last year, I was streaming live streaming on YouTube, in my bedroom, watching the race on TV. If you want to check it out, I'll link that in the
Plugging yourself is
Stop
crazy.
plugging yourself.
And then to this
on
year,
our
I
own-
was at the race watching in person, seeing the 7 Porsche Penske win.
what I would say is I love hearing these stories, and now that I'm interested more in it, I think the next time I go, I'll be able to pay more attention, because it's like I was saying, when we first started watching the race and we were going to all the different places, we're up in the grandstands, you're down in the horseshoe turns, and I mean, we're like real close. It's a cool spectacle. You're like taking it all in. But then after a while, you start settling in, and you then become like a NASCAR, a fan, or not NASCAR, but a racing fan. You're there to watch the racing. And then you're like, well, who's winning? And that's when you explained. And then you realize, wow, they're actually pretty close. After all this racing, they're super close. And I had something to like root for. And I was pulling for the guy in second to try to make it close at the end. And I did not realize that was Connor Zilich's car, but I would have probably been rooting for them even more because of the connection to NASCAR. You guys have met him. He was really cool to you guys when you met him. And so I would like, when you have someone that you're rooting for or a team, it just makes it so much more interesting. Like, I like seeing these 2 cars, the Rexy and Spike, because I knew who they were. You had told me the story about it. So I just think it was really cool. You asked when we were there, because you guys had been wanting to go, and we finally pulled the trigger. You kept asking, so what'd you think? What'd you think? What'd you think? I thought it was awesome. It was so much more of an enjoyable experience than I thought. I thought, 24 hours, like, oh my gosh. But we're always doing something. We were checking out different locations. We're moving around. And again, it's an entire day. So it's like, we got to get our food. That's an adventure. And then we got to go get our campground, which hopefully we did renew tickets for next year. And as part of that, they're going to do their campground distribution. And our goal is at one point, hopefully soon in the future, we will be able to camp inside the
In the
track.
infield
Like
at
I've
the speedway.
always dreamt of going to sleep and waking up to the sounds of cars driving around Daytona.
Who did I say that to
That is a
on
dream
Saturday night? I
it was
like, oh
me.
man,
We were walking out, and you're
how
like, "This is
cool
cool."
would it be if you just? Oh, that's right. We were walking out and we saw the tents that were there, and I said, how cool would it be to like just lay down in your tent and listen to the cars just vroom right by?
I would. Oh my
That
I
god!
mean,
would
it would have been
Oh my
nice
God.
during the fog when there's just like.
So I thought it was an awesome experience. I thought, even the way the fan experience, it's kind of interesting because you watch it on TV, and if you just casually see it, you think, oh, there's nobody in the stands. But that doesn't do any justice to how many people are in the infield. I feel like there's so many people in the infield
So
moving back and
cramped.
forth.
Like that race start.
The
was-
yeah, at the
There's
start,
just so many ways to take the race in. It's not just about sitting for 24 hours at the
Like-
at the seats.
Like where you guys did your little video that is kind of somewhat gone a little viral. That's a section of stands that it's like in the infield as in that horseshoe turn area. I mean, great racing. There's a lot of like passing and turn, like all that action happening. And that's just one
and it's
place.
up close,
And
like
it's
racing.
really up close.
yeah, I got some really nice shots out of it. It was some like really good.
I didn't even
Rush
know there
cross.
was a boardwalk over by Lake Lloyd.
Oh,
I
yeah,
had
that too.
never
We were
been
watching
there
back
before,
there.
and that was so cool. We, aside from the fireworks, we actually watched a little bit of the race back there.
Yeah, that was cool. That was so. I didn't realize that either. I was like, wow, this is actually kind of nice. I kind of want to come over here in Daytona, but I don't know if it's open. I legit don't know. Because I did feel like there were a couple parts where we were a little bit closer to the track than I've ever been at Daytona. But again, it's different, right? 'Cause
I
not
find
a
it,
road course.
I find it-
we normally don't see a
Yeah,
road course.
I just find it kind of funny that like the NASCAR infield when you're in it is so like small, but they're only running the oval. But then you go to the IMSA race and everything's in the infield, and there's so much to do in there.
Yeah.
There's so much
everything.
to walk
Like
around,
even the
sit.
merchandise
Yeah.
is in the infield
Yeah,
versus
that
with
was kinda
NASCAR,
cool.
the merchandise
It
is
felt weird
outside, and all
when
of like the
It felt
like all the stuff is
Yeah,
outside.
it felt weird when you dropped me and Gio off, and I walked out, and I was like, and we passed by the track, we drove by it, and I was like, wait a minute, where are like the merch haulers, the exhibits and stuff? It feels weird because it was just parking space for parking lots and stuff, and then we got in the track, and all the merch experiences stuff, the merch, all that stuff, the experiences, all that stuff was in the infield, and they still had space for all the camping, the fans, and it was packed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the drivers will like walk through the fan zone area.
Yeah, Johan
go
was
from their
sniping
cars
drivers
to
down
their
as they're
trailers.
walking through. It was so funny. He was just like, boom, driver, boom, driver, boom, driver.
I mean, there's some
And just
close
taking
calls.
selfies.
Like I remember a funny thing was when the DDXT were like, when it came into the garage to retire.
Oh, yeah, we were down there in the garage as the 36 DDXT came in. It was crazy. And then we saw the
Wait,
Wayne.
is that the blue car?
That was the blue Corvette that drove in.
That was the one Scott
McLaughlin was driving.
Blew
Yeah, I
up.
actually
Yeah.
know one of the drivers.
Yeah, we saw the car literally
cool.
just like feet away from us,
And is
driving
that
into the
where
garage.
You almost got hit.
Well, yeah, no, it was because I think I was
What?
meeting one of the Ferrari. Okay, funny story. This actually happened twice. So the first one I'm gonna say, but really quickly, I met a Vassar Sullivan driver. You know the little like pit, like go kart things that we driving around.
Yeah,
for
the pit
tires and
cart.
stuff. The pit carts. I took a picture of the Vassar Sullivan driver. I look immediately that way, and I see it coming right at me. So I have to move to the side, and then. The second time I took a picture of a Ferrari driver, and I was like, "Hey, good luck, thank." And he's like, "Thank you." I look back, and the DDXC is driving my way, and I didn't know where to go because the pit cart's coming that way, and I had to run across, or else I might get run over by a GTD. And I'm like, I don't want to be in the headline.
Yeah, there was
Boy
a
gets
reel.
run over.
Did you guys see the reel?
Yeah,
The guy that
I was
it was
gonna
like,
say
don't be this fan, and
he
he
was
bumped
not-
into Rexy.
I was just gonna say he was not the guy
Yeah,
in
that
the
was
reel
not
that
us.
hit Rexy.
Yeah, it was so funny. That reel blew up so fast. It was the day of. It was like
But did it
It was-
damage Rexy?
no, he just hit the bumper because they were just rolling Rexy out of the garage to get him lined up for the race, and he just like bumped into it, and they had to stop. And it was so funny because like the entire team just like what are you doing, man? And he just walked across.
Imagine they
I mean,
damage it,
it's-
and they're kind of messed up.
Well, it's
So-
also not good that like it was like hour 5 and Rexy had mechanical issues.
So just thinking about it, like the Rolex 24, as a family who's only been doing NASCAR races for the past 6 years of this podcast, the Rolex is really something special. Like from the action to the cars, the way the races run, the way the fans are, the experiences, like this is not something we're going to forget. Like I think this is going to become like a tradition for our family going forward.
I hope so. I really do, because it was a very surreal experience. I have not smiled that much in a long time.
Gio kept
Oh, my
saying, "I'm
goodness.
so excited to be here. I'm so thankful. Thank you so much for getting us tickets." And yeah, he was very, very excited. So
It was-
it definitely was a really cool experience. I mean, I thought it was like one of the best racing experiences I've ever been to. So I can only imagine how excited you were. And I'm ready for the next one. What is it, Sebring?
Sebring 12 in March.
Well, I will say it's always cool when we start our year with some type of racing. Usually it's around Daytona and Speed Weeks, but this time it was Rolex. But it kind of gets your appetite going for more racing and gets you really excited. And I'm hoping that, we can quench that thirst with the Daytona 500 in a few weeks.
Yes, sir. The Great American Race.
Great American Race.
And even if we end up watching that one from home, we do have San Diego this summer.
Oh yeah, we are going to San
San
Diego.
Hey,
Andy.
IndyCar opens their season in St. Petersburg here in Florida.
There's
So
a lot of
we
season
have
openers
lots
in
of
Florida.
options here
we
in
got
Florida.
a lot of
When's
racing
that one?
options. It's
March.
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 Yeah,
Break.
around like March 1st. The truck
That's a road
the
course
truck series
in St. Petersburg.
the truck series
He's actually going.
they're racing on the 27th
Is it Indy?
or 28th.
IndyCar.
Yeah, IndyCar season
IndyCar-
opener has been in St. Petersburg,
And then the
Florida
truck
for the
series is
last
going to be
couple years.
racing on Saturday, I think.
Yeah, so we got a truck
Wait,
IndyCar
when's
doubleheader.
the date?
Like, I think March.
February 28th, March 1st.
Yeah.
It's that weekend, I believe. I don't
When's
think
the
those are-
Big 12 tournament?
That would be literally the week after, so like March 9th. So yeah, that works.
I mean, we could get an IndyCar race in this season.
It's a Sunday?
Yeah, it's Sunday. It's down in St. Petersburg, Tampa. It's only like an hour and a half away from here.
Okay, we'll come back.
Hey,
All right, well,
Maybe
more
this
the
was
more
good.
racing. We're the Let's Go Racing
Let's Go Racing
family.
family.
Will
Yeah.
the Let's Go
Racing.
Racing family decide to go to St. Petersburg for a race? Tune in next time. Same bat channel, same bat time.
all right, Warner
All right.
Brothers, it was just a joke. Don't sue us.
And with that, Gio, take us out.
Yeah, Let's Go Racing family, wrapping it up here. Thank you for tuning on in. Make sure to follow us on our socials. We got Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, if anyone still uses that. Listen to our podcast. We're on YouTube, Apple Music, Spotify, Apple's podcast, sorry. But yeah, that's it. Let's Go Racing family, out.